choose to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
This is Conor McGregor for IFL TV. Edward, take a little step back for me. The lights. Oh yeah. Now we're talking. Edward, you jet lagged? You get jet lagged?
I mean, what I did yesterday, COLM, I got off the plane. I had to drive down to Miami to get the flight back, so there was no space on the Orlando flight. So I went down to Miami, flew back, landed, went straight to the office, got to the office, and I was like, feel good. So I put my running gear on. I went and done 7.5k up the hills, right? Come back to work, done a few hours graft, and then went to the farm fitness and did my weight and strength session. Then I fell abed quite early, like 10 o'clock, and then woke up at midnight, and I was up for about 3 hours. So not the best. And woke this morning at, 6 o'clock to join our lovely friends at Ryanair, bosh straight into Dublin, and away we go.
Eddie Hearn flies Ryanair.
You know why? Because I looked at the jet, to be fair, and it was about 10 grand, and Ryanair was 19 quid, and I thought, that's a bit of me. So I jumped straight on. I was like that the whole
Middle
way.
seat?
Middle seat. I was like that the whole way. But when you get off the other end, value for money is impeccable.
Edward here for a massive rematch. Some would say possibly career-ending if Katie Taylor is defeated by Chantel Cameron again. First of all, how excited are you to bring big-time boxing back to Dublin?
Yeah, I mean, you were there last time. Probably the best atmosphere I've ever witnessed. It was just incredible. Chantel Cameron was incredible. And I think, there's always a lot said. And I think Chantel sometimes feels that Katie is always the focus of these promotions. I mean, let's be honest, she has been, remains the biggest commercial draw in women's boxing, Katie Taylor. But what we can't do is take away from what Chantel Cameron did, which was to come to her backyard for Katie Taylor's homecoming and beat her well last time. So this time around, everything I'm hearing from Chantel Cameron in the interviews is respect to Katie, but I'm going to dominate her this time. I'm going to beat her up and I'm going to stop her and I'm going to hurt her in the ring. And I think we expect a better Katie Taylor this time. But I think we expect a better Chantel Cameron. I think her confidence is going to go through the roof. And I think it's going to be an absolute war. Because you know what Katie's like. She's stubborn as they come. And she must win this fight. So everything on the line, November 25th. The undisputed light welterweight world championship. Some might say Katie Taylor's career as well. But for Chantel Cameron, she sees this as another step to all these mega fights out there.
Is there more than just revenge on the line? Because looking at this, if Katie was to win, it sets up a huge trilogy. Probably something you would like to bring to a stadium, maybe here in Croke Park or the Aviva.
Yeah, I think you're always going to get great fights between Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron. And you're always going to get great fights between Chantel Cameron and anyone, and Katie Taylor and anyone. I haven't really thought about the trilogy. I don't know. I think every bit of focus from Katie Taylor is on Chantel Cameron. And I think every bit of focus from Chantel Cameron is definitely not about the trilogy. It's about doing a better job this time. I think she thinks she will, and I think she will be trying to stop Katie Taylor this time inside the distance and then set up another mega fight herself. I mean, she's had an incredible run of big fights and unifications and undisputed fights, but there's still a lot of big fights out there for her. So the trilogy is one that can always happen in a 1-1. But I think both girls just focused on getting the job done in Ireland.
Break down how this undercard looks. We know last time we had unbelievable fight in Gary Cully, Jose Felix. It's not going to be Jose Felix this time with Thomas Carty against Jay McFarlane. Likely both of those back on the undercard?
Yeah, we'll announce probably in the next 48 hours. Tickets go on general sale tomorrow. So we'll be looking to make an announcement hopefully in time for that. Gary Cully will be on the card here, not against Jose Felix, but in a big fight for him and his career. Thomas Carty will be back, as well as another couple of really good Irish fights, all Irish fights that we're trying to make as well. And quite a lot of focus on the Before the Bell segment as well, with more central Irish fighters and local fighters this time, but in good fights. No one's getting an easy ride if you want to be on this card. You know, there's been dozens of Irish fighters that have been asking to be on this card, and if you want to be on this card, you've got to be in a real fight. So I think the card will be stronger this time, and it'll be announced in the next 48 hours.
You did mention the other day to me, and Frank did as well, about Zelfa Barrett being on this card. Who is a likely opponent for Zelfa at this stage?
I mean, we had a great fight set with Zelfa and Alex Dilmanji last time. He pulled out, you know, I think he was injured in the fight or ill, and you know, it's definitely a fight I'd look to make again. But Zelfa could well be on this card as well, and I think that would be the right fight to make.
Will there be involvement from Conor McGregor again this time? I can see, you know, the Forged Irish Stout there on the stage. He's going to be here today?
He will be. He'll be sponsoring. We've done an extension deal with a number of events with Forged Irish Stout. This was one that was done with the AJ fight. So yes, Conor McGregor in tow for this one. Forged Irish Stout in tow for the rematch. And, you know, we talk about Irish boxing and the importance of Katie Taylor. I mean, you know, she brought big time boxing back to Dublin, and she's doing it again on November 25th with Chantel. But Ireland really needs her to win, and I think Conor McGregor knows that as well. And I think, you know, you've gone from a fighter that looks like, and it's mad how boxing works and sport works, you've gone from a fighter that looks like she might be unbeatable to a fighter who must win to keep her career alive. All in the space of, 6 months? So everything's on the line for Katie Taylor in this fight, and I know she'll be more determined than she's ever been. But like I said before, she's going to be fighting a very motivated and very confident Chantel Cameron.
Matchroom yesterday announced a global expansion deal in Japan. First of all, how excited are you about that? And will we see some Japanese Matchroom signings coming then soon?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a massive deal for us because, you know, you're not talking about small shows, you're talking about major international shows, and the focus from our partners there, Rakuten, obviously a major organisation, and Never Say Never, is to bring big international fights there, not just Japanese fights and Japanese talent, but of course that will be part of the focus as well. But it gives us an opportunity to expand obviously globally as a business, but also to stage major fights with, you know, site fees essentially. And you know, the first one will be in January. Frank's out there now, about to do a press conference in Tokyo, and yeah, a major deal for us with a new broadcaster. The events will be broadcast on DAZN around the world, excluding Asia, and massive moment for us yesterday. You know, Japan is a new market. We've not staged events as a sole promoter there before. We've done co-promoted events, but yeah, a fantastic deal and a model that will be replicated in many markets as well.
Moving on from the Japanese deal, Frank Warren had a bit of a pop at you in an interview with Umar on IFL yesterday, the day before, I believe, where he said that your show in Orlando looked like it was a ballroom somewhere, that maybe he would do a press conference. Do you have any response to that?
It was a ballroom. I mean, it was a site fee. I mean, you know, I think he's probably retaliating in comments to my small hall shows at the swimming baths at Bethnal Green. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference between a site fee at a resort in Orlando and Bethnal Green baths with no air conditioning. But it was a small venue, and obviously when you get paid to come somewhere, you are at the, you know, you're at the blessing of the site fee, and that's where they wanted. It was actually worked really well, the event. You were there. I mean, it was a fantastic result. You had some lovely times around the pool all week. The hotel, Caribe Royale, was amazing. The restaurants. It's a really good fight week. Much smaller arena or hall than we're used to, 1,500. But it was nice. But yeah, a bit of a difference between a site fee at a major resort in Orlando and I love Bethnal Green baths, but you know, yeah.
He's had a pop at Frank Smith as well. Is it good maybe for you to get away from that Frank Warren beef and leave it to Frank Smith?
I can't believe that Frank Warren gets so wound up by Frank Smith. Frank Smith's still learning on the job. I mean, you know, he's had a lot of criticism via his interviews, and I get what he was trying to say. I don't think he delivered it very well, but Warren's on him like a rash. It's good experience because I've been through all that, you know, and I'm going to be stepping away at some point. Don't worry, not in the immediate future. And Frank is my successor. You know, Frank is the best operator, Smith, in boxing right now. unquestionably. I mean, look, he's just completed that Japan deal himself, and he's gonna get a lot of heat. And that's good because you need to put him under pressure. And my advice to Frank Warren is to keep putting Frank Smith under pressure, but don't let Frank Smith, who's still a little bit wet behind the ears, wind you up. I mean, there was more shoulder rolls there yesterday than a Floyd Mayweather fight. But I love it. I'll just stay out of it, and I'll just watch. I think it's quite funny watching them go backwards and forwards. But this is, it's not for everyone, this game. Do you know what I mean? Frank's going to take a lot of heat over the next 10 years, Smith, and I've taken it and continue to take it non-stop. So you've got to be a certain type of individual, and time will tell if Frank Smith is that individual. Because I've done it. Frank Warren's done it. Frank Warren's been around for donkey's years. But he don't, although you see him, shoulder rolling and losing and the blood vessels popping, he's very resilient, Frank Warren. That's why you have to respect him. Same with Aaron. These kind of people, they might be miserable, but they have the ability to absorb abuse and punishment, and that's what I've done. But now it's Frank Smith's turn, and we'll see if he can do it as well. Benn, these boys, let's see how they can take the heat. Because I've had the heat for 14, 15 years and continue to get it, and in the end you become numb to it. It actually doesn't hurt you anymore. But I like watching it. I think it's great, and it's nice to just sit back and just,
In terms of Zhang AJ, what's your response to that, and is that a viable opponent for December time for AJ?
Definitely. I mean, firstly, we used to represent Zhang. I think we had 5 or 6 fights with him. We always looked to do a fight in China, but the reality was there actually wasn't the money there, and there wasn't the government interest there. Now that might change with the Joe Joyce victories, and it would certainly change if you're bringing a fighter like Anthony Joshua to China. So absolutely open to those conversations. I don't think it'll happen in December, but if we don't make Deontay Wilder, Zhang would be a great option for us. And if there's a big site fee in Beijing, or whether that might be in China, absolutely. AJ beat Zhang in the Olympics. When we had Zhang, he was actually a fighter we were thinking about fighting, especially before Usyk. But Zhang's a big lump and he can whack, but we don't see a problem with that fight.
Where are we at with the Wilder conversations now anymore with Shelley Finkel?
Not really. I go back to him today. As I said, we've had interest from another site fee for that fight. We're also looking at Vegas, etc. But I think you're going to see that fight move into February or March time, realistically. And if we do that, we just got to decide whether we fight in December or wait it out.
Last one from me. Conor Benn victorious at the weekend. Got a bit of slack on social media, which was to be expected. Chris Eubank Jr., is that full steam ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spoke to the team yesterday and continue to do so all the time. December 23rd is the proposed date, either in the UK or in the Middle East. That's the fight we want to make. Full steam ahead for that fight. I thought Conor was great at the weekend. I thought it was great preparation for Eubank, fighting a big lump in a Roscoe. And it's the biggest fight out there, other than Joshua against Fury. Benn Eubank is absolutely huge, and we'll do everything we can to make that fight for December.
In Cardiff?
Cardiff, Wembley, or in the Middle East.
Edward, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Choose to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,